Welcome to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today hanging out with me, I have Mr. Damon Nailer. He is a motivational speaker, consultant, life coach, author, and educator. And I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for taking time out your day for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Lana, for having us. We look forward to it. We look forward to it. Thanks again.
Well, I hear a little twang there. Where are you at?
I'm down south. I live in Monroe, Louisiana, but I'm originally from New Orleans.
Okay, Louisiana. I was going to say, I hear a little
Yes, ma'am.
twang there, a little twang. Remind me when I go home. I'm
Yeah.
from North
Where are
Carolina.
you from?
I'm from Los Angeles, but I mean, I was born in North Carolina. So when I go home,
Okay.
I hear that twang quite often. But thank you for
Yeah.
hanging out with me today.
Yeah.
Now, first, I want to get into the fact that you have an instructional program called the
Yes.
G3 Journey.
Yes.
And it teaches people how to find their dominant gift. So when
Yes.
I heard that phrase, I want to ask you, what exactly is the dominant gift?
Well, what the dominant gift is I call it your innate and primary gift that you have. It's the strongest skill that you possess. And what happens a lot of times through our life, people never find that particular gift. They might stumble upon what I call a secondary or acquired gift. And it's something that they have to learn, have to receive training for. They have to teach themselves and learn how to do. But the dominant gift in and of itself, it comes automatically equipped with the ability to operate it. And you just have that strong inclination and proclivity just within you. And if you can find that, typically you can become great after you learn how to operate it and you continually use it.
Okay. Now, my dominant gift is eating double stuffed Oreos. So I'm pretty sure people have dominant gifts that don't serve purposes in their life.
Well, of course, look, there's a little more to it. And we actually have like workshops and stuff where we teach people, but primarily with the dominant gift, it's going to be found in one of 6 regions. And I
Okay.
actually use your body parts to help you identify it. But yeah, actually, that's one of the regions that you're mentioning there, the mouth. But it's
Okay.
not. But it's not for eating. It's actually for speaking and communicating.
Oh,
That is
okay.
one of the areas. Yeah.
Okay. So I can't pass off my junk food.
No, not the junk food either. No, no, no.
Oh,
Look, maybe if you wanted to be a taster, or something like that, a chef,
okay.
Yeah, wait.
I could pawn it off into some areas like that.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that requires too much work. I just want to eat the Oreos, but
Just
okay.
give me the Oreos. Gotcha.
So you've got a new book coming out called
Yeah.
Living, Loving, and Leading, and it
Yes.
imparts wisdom in all areas of life for the
Yes.
purpose
Yes.
of finding mindfulness and your purpose. And
Yes.
I'm curious as a man, how do you go through that process, or how have you gone through that process of finding your purpose and living a mindful life? Because it seems overwhelming to us sometimes.
Yes, it is. And I know for me, it was just having an epiphany, having a spiritual awakening. And with
Hmm.
that coming into being with me, I really began to, God help me to look inwardly and, like I say, analyze my strengths, analyze my weaknesses, just look introspectively, look hard within and find out and kind of look at the patterns that I had been experiencing in my life and the things that I was good at, the things I excelled at, and the things I was very, very passionate about, because those are some of the things that when you put together those elements, you're able to find your purpose, because it's normally going to be something you're skilled at, something you're passionate about doing. And it's something that if, as you do it, you don't mind, even if you don't receive any monetary gains from it, just the fact that you're fulfilled and you're helping someone else, you're serving humanity, that's what makes the difference. But like I said, I think one thing people just have to really analyze their lives, look at all of your different circumstances and experiences, and see what is the common theme that you have going on and reoccurring. in your life. And it kind of, like I say, is divine. And he'll, God will put you on a path and have you going in a direction that he would have you to go. In our lives, we're constantly learning, and we have to become avid students. Whereas we're putting the puzzle pieces together. We're seeing, okay, this happened, and I see why this happened here, how that's connected to this in the future, and how I was being prepared for this moment in this place. But if we don't look at our lives and analyze them enough, then we'll miss the subtle clues and hints that are really there to help keep us on a path and give us the right direction that we need to go in.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I'm pretty sure with the work that you do, and I know I encounter in the stuff that I do,
Yes.
I work with a lot of younger males, maybe 18, 19, 20, 20 something, and
Okay.
there's a mindset, and we had it at our age too. There's a mindset that
Yes.
I already know my purpose. I'm already living a mindful life. As a
Yes.
seasoned elder, how do you
Yes.
start to direct and guide and tell these young, no, maybe you don't really have it all together? How do you
Yeah.
kind of nudge them on the right path?
Well, one thing you want to do, you definitely don't want to just discourage them. Number one. Number two, especially if you sense that they're going in the wrong direction, you just want to kind of prompt them. Like I said, put those questions out there. Have you thought about this? Have you considered that? And you want them to keep their options open. And one thing I do, it actually goes along with the program you were mentioning. I tell people to ask themselves 4 questions. And the first one is, what are you good at doing? And you have to just be brutally honest. Don't just give me something that, don't tell me you're good at everything. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. Be objectively and brutally honest about what you have a skill or skills at doing. Then you want to ask yourself, what do I like to do? In essence, what am I passionate about doing? When I do this particular thing, I have momentum, I have energy, I'm excited. I just love to do it every time. And then the third thing is, what do you do that has a positive effect on others? This is what we classify as effectiveness. In other words, you can be happy about doing something. You can be skilled at doing it, but what kind of effect is it having on others? Are you effective? Are you productive? And then last but not least, what can you do, that you like, you're good at doing, you're effective at doing it, and then you can do it for free. In other words, this right here, me communicating, I could put that gift in all of those categories. I love it. I'm good at doing it. I'm effective. And if I didn't get paid anything, I could constantly do this. And I believe if people can find that particular thing that can fit all of those questions, then they can find the right path and actually, it would be best if you could choose a profession that aligns with your gift and, the strongest skill that you have and the strongest talents.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes.
Now you mentioned something, and we're kind of on the same path and wavelength, and
Yes.
but me and you are in the same age bracket. And I notice a lot of
Okay.
times when I work with the younger generation,
Yes.
they have so much pressure, especially with the social media and everything like that. I
Yes.
find a lot of younger males
Hmm.
tend to have more mental health, more sense of depression, more sense
Yeah.
of I don't know my way. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't feel like I fit. Uh,
Yes.
is there anything that we can do to kind of break that cycle? Because kids today are in a much different place mentally than what I remember being at their age.
Yes. Well, the thing is making sure that they're exposed to a variety of things. What's wrong with the current generation is kind of one dimensional. So everything is just focused on technology, so that's kind of dealing with your brain gifts. Okay. So what if I'm not all about the brain and thinking and creating and doing social media, all of that stuff? Well, there are other gifts. There are other areas, and that's what we have to do. Make those who are younger mindful that you don't have to be one dimensional, that you can do something with your hands, you can do something physically, you can do service oriented things. There are just so many options, and I believe once children or people rather are exposed to the fact that I have different options, I have various avenues that I can go in, then it will relieve some of the stress and pressure. But it's like everybody's trying to fit into the same thing, And I know you and I, we can attest to it. Just looking at our culture, oftentimes, especially the young males, they typically want to either do music or do sports. Well, hey, it's much more to life than that. And more than likely, your gift won't even be in that area. So why spin your wheels? Why waste your life trying to get into oversaturated
That's
places?
right. That's
You know,
right. I had
so
just had a conversation with some young black males. Like, there's only a
yeah,
small percentage that are going to get that record contract. There's only a small percentage that's going to get into the NBA or NFL. So
NFL,
we need to be open minded about some other opportunities
yeah,
to, and open a business. There's nothing wrong with using your hands to feed your family or stuff like that, but
yeah.
explore other options. So that's a valid point. Now I want to ask, because pretty sure the man that I'm looking at today is a very different man than he was 20 years ago.
Yes, indeed.
What do you think were the things that propelled or guided you to make that shift in mentality and purpose from boy to man?
learning learning and experience. I think some people experience things but they don't learn, and when you experience things and you don't learn, you kind of repeat those patterns and you get stuck in certain modes. But I believe as life is trying to teach you, as you learn the lessons, you're able to progress and progress fast, and you're be able to just go into greater realms, into greater places in your life than you ever could imagine. But if you don't learn those lessons from your experiences, then you kind of repeat. You go around and around that same mountain and you stay in that same place. You get stuck in a rut. And I've had, like I said, a variety of experiences. And one thing about it, thank God I hadn't allowed the negatives to just stay with me and stick to me. But even those painful lessons I've learned, I've allowed them to do what they were supposed to do. And like you said, I love the word you use, propelled. In essence, I let them push me and be a part of my momentum and a catalyst to serve to push me into the higher heights and deeper depths, as opposed to just allowing them to weigh me down, to impede my progress and to stop me from progressing on my journey. But that's what I notice. A lot of people, they're having trouble running life's race because they're still carrying weights and struggles and problems and issues from the past. And I state that, that's unhealthy, because you're never allowing yourself the chance to recuperate and heal if you're constantly opening those old wounds.
Yes, yes.
But
You
yeah.
know, and it's interesting to me because I just had my 50th birthday, and
Happy birthday.
well, thank you. But I think one of the things that hinders me sometimes is I walk around assuming that people in my age bracket, we've all done this massive evolution and we've
Yeah.
arrived. But I run into people in my age bracket and they still haven't, the light bulb hasn't clicked on. And
No.
you're like, come on, you need to speed up. You need to catch up. Come on, we're
Yeah.
all over here.
Double time.
Pick up the pace.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's very saddening, very disheartening when
Yes,
you
it is.
find
Yes,
a
it is.
seasoned individual in
Mhm.
age, but they're not
Yes.
seasoned in mindset.
Fine. Yeah.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
But and I guess there's nothing really you can do to.
No, because as you stated, at the age level that we are living at now, that mean that person has been like that 40, 50 years. If
Mm-hmm.
they hadn't changed now, or well, then more than likely they're not going to change. So you have to just accept them and embrace them as who they are, and understand that that is just the individual's character. That's his or her nature, and they're not going to change. And like you say, you can feel sorry for them, you can empathize with them, but at the same time, you can't allow them to hinder you on your journey, because some people, they'll serve as weights. They'll
Mm-hmm.
detract from you. They'll serve as impediments, and they'll get in the way, especially those who are close to us, friends and loved ones. But we have to remember, it's all about business. Of course, we have our personal relationships, but don't allow them to get in the way of your destiny and your purpose and the things you're trying to accomplish. Many of us, we're trying to be progressive, and some aren't. And you can't just take them along with you, because they will certainly hinder what you're trying to do and accomplish.
Now, you're a father, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Son, daughter.
All sons, 4 sons.
Well, bless your heart.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Bless your heart.
Thank
So I guess my question would be, any parenting tips from a man raising the future generation of men? What tips do you have? What pointers do you have?
Well, ironically, I'm a parent educator. And
Okay.
so I think one of the key components I always teach is presence versus presence. In essence, you being there as a person. I know as a man, we're supposed to provide, and of course, we want to do that. But understand that you being there is going to be far greater than any material possessions or substances that you can provide. And I always ask people, males or females, if you were to think back and look at your childhood, and if I were to ask you what were some of the gifts you received versus me asking you what were some of those great moments and experiences you had, which one would you be able to tell me the most of? And undoubtedly, everyone always answers those experiences. And I always let them know that that's what your child, as they grow up and become adults, those are going to be their memories. They're not going to be concerned about the Xbox you got them, the games you got them, but they're going to be concerned and they're going to remember the times you took them to the park, you went on family vacations, whatever other rituals you establish with your children. But if there's anything, give them that quality time, that your undivided focused attention, because when we analyze society, a lot of the young people are doing some crazy things right now. It's just because they want attention. They don't have attention. Oftentimes they have all of the materialistic things they could want. They're coming from prominent families and all of that. But what's lacking? Presence. Somebody being there to care, to support them, to give them verbal, positive verbal praise, to encourage them, tell them, hey, you can do it. You're awesome. Even if you make mistakes, you can get back up. Life is a long journey. Keep your head in the game. Just those small things like that, someone being there to do that makes a world of a difference.
Awesome tips. Awesome tips. Now, these boys that you're raising into men, they come with a wife attached. You've been married for how long?
Going on 22 years.
Yeah. Well, you had to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell.
No, I was trying to, because we've been getting together 23 years. We just made that. But
I was going to say, I'm going to tell. I'm going to get you in trouble.
Nah.
So, 22 years, and I do a lot of relationship work. I want you to give the young folks going into marriage, what advice, what tips would you tell them to go into marriage?
Well, you want someone who's going to compliment you, and you want someone who, like, your weaknesses are their strengths and vice versa, your strengths are their weaknesses, so that you guys could kind of fit together. And I always say that you want to be, I consider your total half. I say your whole half. In essence, in order to get one whole, you can go about several ways. You can do 0.7 and 0.3 or 70%, 30%. You can do 50%, and 50% would be the ideal situation. Because if you continue to analyze that scenario, the more you have it on one side, the less you have it on the other. So if you have a 70 and 30, that's not going to work. Because that means the person, who has the 70, they're doing more work. And that's what you want to find, somebody who is their whole half. They're mature enough, and you're on the same wavelength, like you had mentioned earlier, and that you really connect, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You want all of those components in place in the person that you want to be with and that you want to commit to. And I believe that you have to have the same goals. You're going on taking the same journey in the same direction. Might not be the exact same thing, but at least, hey, we're going in this direction. We want to progress. We want to accomplish these things in life. And I believe if you can find a person with those commonalities and those traits, then you can have a long-lasting relationship.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I've been sitting here talking to you for about 20 minutes, but I want to know if your wife was sitting here talking to me right now, what would she say, or how would she say that you have grown and changed as a man in the 22 years that you guys have been together?
I think she would say that I've matured, I've become more patient, more understanding. I definitely developed empathy and sensitivity towards her and just people. And so now I believe I'm more flexible now, because when we first got together, she would say, "Oh, he was rigid." Well, I was stuck in my own ways. I was very limited. I was very confined. But she would say, "Oh, he has grown, boy. He has grown. I've changed him. Now I've made a difference." And I would have to attest to that and confirm that. Yes, she is telling the truth. But yes, I mean, she's seen the journey. She's
Okay.
experienced it.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this
So
is
if
time.
nobody else knows, she knows the
she,
truth.
she knows. Well, I do this little part where I do a random question. So we're gonna do this
Okay.
little random question here. Let's see
Uh-oh.
what, she said, "Uh-oh." Let's see what we got here. See what we got. Okay. Finish this sentence. Back in my day, we.
Used to have fun hanging outside.
Oh yes, I remember that.
I'm
Bikes and
telling you,
stuff.
right?
You know,
Just running the plane all day.
that's right. You just knew when the lights came on, you better have your butt in the house. But yeah,
But inside,
I remember that. I remember that. So,
yeah.
couple things here. The G3 journey. How do people get connected with that?
Yes,
Sign up
they
with
can
that.
go to my primary website, which is thereal.org, DARIL.org, and that's my comprehensive website. It has all of my information there, and it'll have a link. I actually have it. You can get it there as a digital download or the CD, and I also have it as an online course. So the links to that is on my website at DARIL, DARIL.org.
Okay. And the book, when should we expect for that to be available?
Before this year is out. I'm looking at either November or December, but yes, right before this year ends, Living, Loving, Leading will be out. And God is really blessed with that. We've had about 13 or 14 features of some of the content on major websites. We're talking Gold, Cash, Thrive, Global, MSN, Yahoo, you name it. Some of the excerpts have been already featured from the book.
Okay, now I really skimmed by it, but before we go, could you just give everybody a brief synopsis of what that book is actually all about and why they need to pick it up?
Well, they need to pick it up because we help you to find out your who, I call it, your identity, learn how to fulfill your what, which is your purpose. You'll learn the 10 laws for becoming a leader and an effective person. You'll learn how to love yourself, to love your relatives, love your children, love your spouse. And then I have some bonus tidbits at the end that just gives wisdom and insight concerning a variety of topics that deal with life. But yes, those are some great reasons why you need to get this book.
Awesome, awesome. Now, before we go, I am a daddy's girl, and I told you we were born in North Carolina. So my father, he's going to be watching this, and my dad is a diehard Carolina Panthers fan.
Oh my God.
And it hurts his heart to no end that his only child, his daughter that he raised, is a New Orleans Saints fan. So
yes, indeed.
So I have to give y'all a plug right now. I'll probably be in the hot seat for a while with my own father, but I just want to let you know, y'all got love from Lana all the way from LA. Okay.
All right, Lana. All right. We'll give you a pass since you're out there in LA, how they did us in that division championship game.
I was so upset. I was like, are we gonna redo this or what? I
know, right?
It's all right. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Once more, give me that website one more time, please.
Okay, DARIL, DARIL.org. And we truly appreciate you having us. It's been a wonderful blessing, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, I loved having you. I love the information that you shared. It's very, very enlightening stuff everybody needs to hear. I wish you much success, and I'll be keeping in touch. And the next time I'm down there to see my team.
Yes.
All right. I'll holler. Thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it. You have a good one. Have a blessed one.
Thank you. You too.
All righty. Oh.